Hey everyone, it's Michelle Fawcett, the Dreaming Dilettante, and I am coming out to you with my scrap paper card video and part of my Designer Dilettante series. And if you're a paper scrap crafter, you probably have a bin, whether you're a scrapbooker or you do regular paper crafts. You probably have this bin of scrap papers that you hate to throw out, but you don't know what to do with. And I actually am going to be making a couple tutorials based on using up our own old products. Now, pieces like this, obviously, you can put with your regular full pages. And I have a couple of those in here, but just for ease, I put them all in my scrap bin, because for me, sometimes it's fun just to pull from the scrap bin if I'm looking for creative inspiration, just kind of seeing what I have half put together, little projects I've done, and things like that. But I wanted to show you first a card I made, and this is all scrap paper, so I didn't cut anything. This is all just like little pieces that I had left from projects that I was trying to do, and it's really a very simple card. I'm going to put the details on my blog, so I'm just going to do a written blog post on this, and I'll have the link in the description below so you can check it out if you wanted to mimic this exact card. And I have the dimensions and everything that everything worked out to be, but I did just take it from my scrap bin. So I had this piece of Whisper White cardstock, I had this piece of the Real Red from our Fresh Prints paper stack, and the Designer Series paper, and then I punched out the little flowers out of scraps of paper that I had, as well as the sentiment. So I'm going to do a blog post on that so you can check that out as well. But I thought it would be fun. Originally, when I thought of this video, I was going to show you how to make this card, but then that kind of seemed counterproductive, because then I'm just teaching you measurement, or not teaching, but showing you the measurements and exactly how I did this card, whereas I thought it would be more fun for you to see me make up a card on the fly. So we'll see how this works. I did kind of go through this bin just to see what I had in here before I started the video. As you can see, I do have some big pieces of paper which don't necessarily have to be used for this kind of a project. Like I said, this is a pretty big piece, but this could actually go in back into with maybe my regular paper. But since I'm making card videos, I think I might steal a couple of these. So I'm just kind of picking out colors that I like, or things I think might complement each other. And I'm not really worrying too much about size, because if I have to cut them down, I can, because it's just scrap. And if I decide that I want them maybe a little bit smaller, I can always dig through the box and see if I have something that kind of coordinates with it. So right now I pulled out some of our baked brown sugar paper, or the cardstock rather. This is our strawberry slush, and this is the Whisper White. So that's what I've dug out of the bin here. And I'll also put in the blog post, I'm going to do a blog post that accompanies this video, and you can also check out the item numbers for these papers. So should you see something you like and you want to order it, if you don't already have it, I'll provide the link and all the information on how you can do that. So now that I've got some papers out, I think the base of my card is going to be the strawberry slush. So what I'm going to do is I am going to see what size I'm working with here. And then what I'm going to do, for me personally, because I like to have the coordinating cards, I'm just going to pull out my envelope punch board, and I'm going to see what size this measures, and then kind of determine what size I'm going to make it based on what I have here. Okay, so it's almost full 12 pieces. This is obviously a 12 by 12 sheet I had, because it's 12 long and 5 3/4 wide. So for me, and you don't have to be this detailed, normally I'm not, but for some reason this way it's starting to look, it's the way it's starting to work out. I'm just going to see 5 1/2 might be a good size, but I really don't want to lose. Let's see, I don't want to cut off just a little bit of paper. Let's see. Looks like 5 1/2 is as big as they're going to go. So I'm going to trim the paper down to 5 1/2. So I'm just going to be trimming off just a little bit. And that's going to go right back in my scrap bin. And I'm also going to share with you guys a video that I'm going to do, or tell you about a video I'm working on, which is I'm going to show you how to make a homemade paper. So when you have, oops, sorry, there's my phone chiming. When you have little pieces of scraps like this, there's another one in here, like these pieces, you know, obviously there's really not much you could do with this. I mean, I suppose you could cut these off and do like a shadow effect, or like a frame effect rather, on a page. But when you have these little pieces, doesn't seem there's not much you can do, but I'm going to show you how you can turn these into homemade paper. So that's a video I'm going to work on a little later, and then hopefully remember to come back and put a link into this video once it's done. So if you're watching this later on, that you can actually go back and see the video on how to make your own homemade paper. That should be fun. I just have to get my setup done a little bit better. So I think I'm going to make this a 5.5 by 6 card. So I'm going to score this at 6, and you can use your scoring tool, because I have my paper here. I'm just going to score it with this. And actually I think I'm going to go over it because the scoring tool on this paper cutter is not as good, so I'm going to go back and reinforce it with my scoreboard here. There, see, that gives you a nice scoring line. I should know better. I love our Stampin'Up products, and I had just purchased, before I signed up with Stampin'Up, a paper cutter. So I didn't purchase a new one yet, but I know eventually that's going to be where I'm going. So this is my paper, so it's going to measure 6 by 5.25. And what I'm going to do here is kind of play around and determine how I'm going to decorate it. And that first score line was a little off, which I can see. So let me double check. See, that's why you got to use the right tools. There we go. And that should correct my score line here. There we go. Okay. So now, for me, I just kind of play with what I'm layering and what I'm doing. Like, this is totally a freak, because you guys are so freak accident that this is actually, and this card's bothering me that it's actually not lining up. So I creased it incorrectly the first time, and now it's following my old crease line. I'm not usually this meticulous, but for some reason that was bothering me. And I think I'm going to have to accept it. That's okay. So I can always trim off if I need to a little bit later. So I think I'm going to go with this. And I like to do layers. And I'm thinking that I'm going to do a diamond shape here. I haven't decided if I'm going to keep talking, because I haven't decided whether or not I'm just going to do a sped up version of this, but I think I'd rather you see like the actual time it's going to take to make the card. I think that's fun sometimes when you actually see the whole process. You can get a better idea. So I'm going to cut this down. To 4. Actually going to make it, I'm going to do 3.5 by 3.5. And that's what I love about doing the homemade paper, because, and I haven't done it in years, and I used to do it all the time when I scrapbooked, and I'm just getting back into scrapbooking. But all these like little pieces of paper, when you trim off edges, sometimes you hate to do it and you feel like it's going to be such a waste. But when you're going to make your own paper from it, especially if you're an art journaler, you're going to find that you won't be wasting. So that's what's really nice about it. All right. And I'm thinking I might get a little be honest with you, I'm not sure I like the white on here. I think I have an idea. First, before I cut another piece, I'm going to check my little scrap bin again, and I do have some. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. So I'm going to take that piece back, put it in my scrap bin. And I think I'm just going to do that. I forget what I measured this paper at. This is 5.5. And I don't want this to be perfectly centered. So I'm going to do that. And part of the fun I'm having with this kind of a project is the fact that I have no plan. So as you can tell. But to me, this is kind of this is where you really get to be creative and play around and just kind of create unique projects, and you don't feel that pressure of having to do something perfect the first time. You really just kind of get to play around, and I mean, it's great. There's so many people who share these fantastic videos online, and they really come up with some beautiful designs, and I love watching them. I really do. But at the same token, there's not this pressure to, I don't know, I think sometimes when we feel like we have to create these perfect cards, and we forget about the creative aspect of it. So now these are just some fringe scissors. Now this set that I have is one that I, again, had just purchased. And this is actually the first time I'm using them. But they're not the Stampin'Up ones, so I just want to share that with you. And I'm hoping to get a pair of theirs. So I'll put their number in the description on the blog. But these were just another set that I had purchased. And I have yet to play with them, and I just saw them sitting here on my desk and thought, that might be fun. So this is the part, this is where, for me anyway, you get to really connect with your creativity. You really get a chance to play and get lost in the creative process of just having a good time, and you know, taking a little time for yourself. And that's not going to work. Taking a little time for yourself and just, you know, whether the final result is something that you're going to love or not, it's okay, because you're just creating. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do here is I think, and this is the part where I realize my scissors are still stored away. So I'm going to grab the rest of my supplies that I just realized I forgot to bring over. And normally at this part, this is where I'd start thinking, okay, well, I'm going to edit this and cut this out, but I don't think I'm going to, because I feel like that's part of the fun, is seeing, you know, the reality of crafting. You know, it's nice to see these polished, perfect videos, but I also think the reality of them, you know, of crafting, is nice to see. So you can see that we all make mistakes, and we all learn how to kind of fix them. And I think that's part of being creative, is you get a chance to kind of fix everything. So hopefully the video doesn't get too boring, but we'll see what happens. And I think I've been loving the pedal punch, so I think I'm gonna, the petite petals, so I'm just grabbing my stamps as well, and I think I'm gonna use and we'll see what happens. And if I actually use the stamps, then I'm going to tell you which ones I used. So I think I'm going to start off with, this is one of the free items that you can pick as part of our celebration. So if you spend $50 more, you get to pick a free item, or I should say, for every $50 you spend, you get to pick a free item. And this is the Your Lovely set. And I've been enjoying this. I've done a lot with it. I did a workshop with it. So I've been having a lot of fun with it. And one of the things it comes with, which I think would be easy to overlook, is this little bit of a border stamp. And you can have a lot of fun with that. So let me get out my... And the other thing I just did too was I just organized my creative corner, which naturally means it's going to take me longer to find everything. And I'm also dropping things. So I did that yesterday. I was able to get everything kind of organized and put together. So what I am thinking is that I'm going to do a border on this, and I think I'm going to use our Strawberry Slush ink. And this inker ink pad came as part of a set that came with the papers. So you got, I believe it was 5 ink pads and then the papers, and I'll put that item number in here as well if you're interested, because it's such a great value. And it's I think it was $49.95, I think, but you got the papers and the coordinating ink pads. And when you stamp, a little trick, and I was never a good stamper, stamp straight down and straight up, no wobbling, and you'll get a perfect stamp every time. I'm going to do that, and then I also think I'm going to punch out using my 2.5 circle punch, 2.5 inch circle punch. I'm going to punch out a white circle. I don't know if I'm going to use it, but I'm going to punch it out. So I have an idea for it, and we'll see if that actually pans out. And I think I'm also going to... This is the Petite Petals set. This is another item that you can get free as part of Celebration. And I think I'm going to go with this stamp. And what's great about this ink set, or stamp set rather, is that it comes with, or you can get rather, it has a coordinating, I should say, punch. So you can do what I did if you want to get a little more dimension, and you can stamp your image and then punch it out. So it gives you a little more dimension, especially if you use our dimensionals. It'll give you a little more interest instead of just doing it right on the paper itself. And of course my stamp went fine. Okay, so I did those, and I might do some in the baked brown sugar. I did grab that, but I'm gonna wait and see. So now I think I'm going to try laying it out. Just get a feel for how I'm going to put the card together here. And the neat thing is, if you're following along with this, or if you end up liking the end results and you're going, oh, I just want to know how to make this card, you're not stuck. You kind of get the idea of how I pulled it together, so you could do a very similar card, but maybe you have completely different colors. Maybe you have a different border stamp that you're using, or different punches. So what's nice about that is the idea that this is a scrap bin stamp. You're not being and that's a scrap bin card. You can use whatever colors you have, and I would say go along with the same idea and use whatever stamps that you have. I'm just going to get a wipe and wipe. I found this to be one of the easiest ways to just wipe off your. It does a really nice job. I think I'm going to go with the baked brown sugar to stamp my sentiment. And I love the baked brown sugar on Whisper White. I feel like it gives it a very aged, classic look. So here's that. So I'm just trying to lay this out. So I'm trying to decide if I want to do anything here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp out a few images using the Petite Petal stamp set. And I think I might do some coordinating flowers. Do a different one than what I did over here. And then just see if that adds a little interest. That's what's nice about being able to do them and then punch them out, is that if it ultimately isn't something that I feel like is going to give me enough of a lift to the project, I can take them out and I have it stamped on this paper here. So I think I'm going to use the strawberry slush paper and the baked brown sugar ink and see if that gives me a little bit of a something extra. I just feel like it needs a little something more. So I'm going to try out a couple of the different flowers and see which one actually, if any of them. And then what's nice is that the flowers can go in my bin if I don't use them, and I have my scrap paper. And later on I can use them on a different project. Try this one too. And I'm just stamping 2 of each image in case I decide to use one and I want to have a little bit more of a balance. Okay. So I'm going to punch these. Let's see. I'm also thinking I might just do some punches out of the strawberry slush and the Whisper White. And I might just add them and do some layers with flowers, similar to what I did on the card I showed you at the beginning. Alright. So I don't want it to be too busy, but this spot just felt like it was looking for something. kind of like that. But I'm also thinking I might add a little color to it. The white just seems to set them off a little bit. So as you can see, I'm laying everything out and then I'm going to adhere it. And I'll probably just adhere it and then come back. So I'll pause the video so you don't have to see her watch me glue everything. I think that's ultimately what I'm going to do. And then I might put, I love the rhinestones, so I might add a few little rhinestones in there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue all these down, and then I'm going to come back and I'll show you the final card. Well, here is the final card, and I'm going to bring it up so you can see. And what I did here was the circle punch with the I Think You're Lovely was adhered with dimensionals, so I thought that lifted everything up a little bit. And then the flowers were just adhered with mini glue dots, and then I added some rhinestones. And then over here, I think I changed the pattern. I think I had them in a diagonal, but I liked this better. And again, these were all applied, the white flowers and the stamped ones were all applied with mini glue dots. And I added some little rhinestones there. And then down here at the bottom, I thought I saw this strip of rhinestones, and so I added that. So that's the completed card. And that was all made with scrap paper. So just to show you what you can do with the scraps that are in your bin, don't throw anything away. You can keep all of your little bits. As I said, keep an eye out for the video that I'm going to be doing on homemade paper, and that should be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Oh, and if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. You can also check down below, and I have a link to my newsletter, so you can sign up for that and get some goodies sent to you in your inbox. Thanks so much. Take care.